Welcome, NKEBET.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. Fantastic, because sometimes technology will humble you. Okay, the first thing I want to say, while thanking Pastor Poju, is to also say that he has brought some of us out of hiding. But as Bode told me, she said, NKEBET, it's time. So yes, it is time. So thank you, Pastor. I don't take this for granted, and thank you. When you come after consultants, I don't know, but I'm going to speak from an innovator perspective as someone who creates. And I'm sure you can see that by my presentation. It's about to come up. Yes, to drive a truck. And so you'd ask yourself, what does driving a truck have to do with technology? And I'll explain it. When we look at the topic, women in tech, I'm sure this is the picture a lot of us see, women developing, having screens, there. But really, that's not what it is. And because we have this picture in our minds, women have taken themselves out of the equation because we feel we have to be developers. We have to be engineers. What they talked about being an operator. But some of us feel we have to have a certain kind of degree to be in technology. So my job here today is to demystify that and just let everybody know that, you see this technology, we'll do it, and we'll do it together, right? Fantastic. So, one of my favorite books, so I'm the kind of person who, if you give me a movie to watch, I'll fall asleep. But give me a book this big and I'll read it. It's weird, but that's what it is. And one of my favorite books is the Bible. So I saw a story recently in Samuel 31. This story was, if you want to go and read it at home. This was when Saul was killed. And he was killed by archers. So the archers, he wasn't killed, he was severely wounded by the archers. And then he later fell on his sword, Saul, that guy. He fell on his sword and that was the end. Now in chapter 2, the Bible doesn't have verses and chapters, but in chapter 2, 2 Samuel, where David was mourning, the first thing he did was he said everybody needed to learn the art of archery. So all the men needed to learn archery. At that point, that was a new technology. And David wondered, how can these people come and kill Israel? So we must all learn it. But that's the truth about technology, because when something comes on the earth, it is who uses it. And if you don't use it, somebody will use it, and they may use it to your disadvantage. Now, women in tech. You see, the truth is, the history of tech cannot be written without women. And I'll tell you why. Who knows these women? Does anybody? Okay. In World War II, the history of how computers came about. In World War II, about 80 to 100 women were needed to compute the trajectory of missiles. And so, because it took them so much time, they developed what was called the ENIAC calculator, or the ENIAC machine, which now became the computer as we know it today. So they were called computers because they were computing. And so the computer was first a human being, before a machine. So when we decide that after 1800s, we now took ourselves out of the equation, I'm not quite sure how that happened. And so women, we see, we hear these buzzwords. Somebody once told me, how can you be doing technology? AI is evil. Evil is from the devil. That's where the Antichrist is coming from. And I said, well, the truth is, you see all these buzzwords, they are there. Technology is a tool we cannot escape, right? It's agnostic. So it is inherently good or it's not inherently evil. It is depending on the user. So if we don't use it for good, somebody's going to use it for evil, right? So we now have to decide what we are going to do with it. Now, some of us may think, okay, technology has to be finance. I have to create this beautiful app. I have to do this. Technology is about, like Bode said, solving problems. When you see a problem, it is for you to solve. And the way to solve it is with technology. And technology doesn't necessarily mean having computers or doing coding or develop. You don't even have to be a developer. All you need to know is see a problem and solve it. And I'll give you some examples of people who did that. Who knows this woman? She's a very fine woman. Who knows her? Nobody. Okay. I'll tell you who she is. Her name is Josephine Cochran. And she was the one who designed what we know as the modern dishwasher. She was an aristocrat. She, you know, aristocrats in the 1900s, very rich woman, soft life, pampered woman. Her only annoyance was that her maids and her staff were spoiling her china. So they would crack her china, and then there were actually machines that used to wash plates then, but they used to use bristles and brushes. So she sat one day and she started to design. And she started to think about how can we make this dishwashing machine better. And she came up with the idea of using a water pressure. Now, she was not an engineer, so she called one railroad guy to come and help her design it. And that was how she invented the washing machine that we all use today globally. A housewife. And we're saying technology is not for us. Okay? Let's look at this woman. She's older than that other one. She invented what we know as the car wiper today. Her own, she was in a car. And she was just so irritated that the driver would always have to come out to clean the windscreen or open the door to see what's happening when it rains. And she said, how about we create a sort of, you know, a model or something that from inside the car, we can use it to clean the shield and, you know, make sure everybody sees. And she became the owner of the patent of what we call the wiper today. You see, the interesting thing is that the women above, as I told you, they were not engineers, right? All they had was their shared unwavering determination to solve problems. And so today, my question is, what is your why? And I'm going to ask that question a lot today. So they asked why. Why is this working like this? How might we make it better? And in my career and in my journey, I've had to ask a lot of whys. Now, when I tell you I'm a creator, and you probably think I have an engineering degree. Let's go back to me. This is me, by the way. You wonder what AI will create, right? I have a picture of me here behind the truck because, you know, as a child, I was a weird child. When anybody asked me, what do I want to be? You know, when they say, what do you want to be in life? Everybody will say, pilot, doctor, engineer. I wanted to be a truck driver. I don't know why, right? Maybe it was because, so I grew up in Kaduna, and maybe it was because we had refineries, and I particularly wanted to drive a tanker. That's a tank, you know, truck. Maybe because we grew up with refineries, and I would see the trucks, or because I read one book, Malam Tafadauda, the lorry driver. You know, I'm not quite sure now. Perhaps it's one of those things, but I was just always fascinated about gears, about engines, about the way they worked, you know, and the fact that I could sit on this high car and be, you know, and have everybody and probably run over them, right? Yeah, I was one of those children. And I'm going into secondary school, and I have one of my secondary school mates here coming, and you would find me among those people who, there's a switch, oh, there's nothing wrong with the switch. We will unscrew it and start joining wires. We will take boiling ring, perfectly good boiling ring, and just do all sorts of things with it. Now, you would think with all that, I did science. I ran away after my first week in chemistry when I saw periodic table. I'm not ashamed to say it. And so, I never did physics. I never did the sciences. I went on to do social sciences. And I started my career in telecom and then banking. And I was in commercial banking, doing extremely well. And then I had to move to Lagos because I was married by then, and we needed to just be together. We couldn't be in different places. And when I wanted to come to corporate banking, commercial banking, I was doing well. My targets were great. And I wanted to come to corporate banking. And one of my mentors, who was a GM then, said, this is not Abuja. Better go to where it's easy. And the place I found was e-business. And honestly, I had no clue what they used to do there. And so I came and I joined e-business, and they said, you have to be, you'll be in operations. I said, okay. I was frustrated because there was, every day we are issuing PIN, we are issuing card, I was like, okay. I continued doing it. And then I was now, after a while, made to lead a unit that was the customer facing, and we were responding to mails, inquiries, card issues, and e-banking issues. But I was always getting in trouble, or my team was always getting in trouble. Why? Because, when you allocate emails, then you'd say this person should do 3 to 4. This person should take from 4 to 5, mails that come in within that time. There were always mails that were getting dropped because somebody would say, it came into my box at 4:03. This one would say, no, in my own box is 3:59. And my brothers and sisters, those were the mails that they will now send mail to the MD and escalate, unfortunately. So I was always getting into trouble. And so one day, I sat down and I said, there must be a better way to do this thing. And remember the dishwashing woman? I now started to draw out. I said, how about we have a system that, everybody's just answering on that platform, on that application. This is over maybe 15 years ago. And I was like, isn't that possible? And I went to sit with my technology guys. And I said, guys, can we do something? That's when I learned there was something called open source. And then we started to look for an application. And we built on that. That solved the entire problem. And then after that, I said, hey, so I can start to think about problems and fix it. So I became a problem to my boss. And because of that, she said, you know what, just move to e-banking implementation. Just go and be creating. Just go and so that brought my foray into dev and into technology. But I won't call myself a developer. But because I had to work with developers, I had to learn the language. And so wherever you find yourself, as Bode said, try to be the best you can be. And so today, I lead countries, I lead French speaking. I've had to learn French. I lead Portuguese speaking. That one, not yet. And English speaking. And because of that, I've had to be in rooms with global technology leaders who the first time they see you, the first thing they say, oh, you're a woman. And sometimes you get, oh, hi. I said, you didn't think I was black, right? Yeah, you from Africa. So you have to remind some of them that Africa is not a country. But we move. And so I have these tough conversations from time to time because of my role. And people ask me my why. The same way people ask me why I wanted to be a truck driver. I remember an incident where I needed to deploy something for a country. It involved a lot of change on our core, and it was going to be expensive because it was a global change. And I had my first big why, because now it was no longer why I wanted to be a truck driver, why I wanted to change email. This was a bigger scale of why, because it was a case of, are you putting your blood on this? And I said, yeah, it will work. And I now went back to God. I said, I've told them it will work. This thing has to work. And that was my first why with my full chest. And one thing I realized is people would always question your why, especially as a woman. Not because they don't think you can do it, but because they want to see how resolved you are on that issue. And so that was how I came in. But you see, one thing I find as I've been in tech is that we limit ourselves to financial technology and say, okay, it's Flutterwave, it's SpaceDAG, it's Money Points. But there's so many branches of technology. Who is solving tech for the woman in Ojo-Elegba or in Arena Market? Who is helping her to put her invoices right? Who is automating that for her? And remember, you don't have to be the developer. You just need to know the problem and map it out, and somebody else can build. Are we following? Now, when it even comes to money transfer, to lending, to mortgage, to RegTech, I'm a lawyer. What do I have to do with tech? Okay, how about somebody telling us the regulations so we don't get into trouble every time? How about somebody creating a way where I can do my tax? Any money that comes in, it takes away the amount that is for my tax, and allows me be in good standing with the government. There are so many ways that we can build, and there is so much waiting for women. As a woman in corporate, one of the frustrations that I have is when we try to hire. Because we're so very big on diversity and inclusion, there are some roles, and in specific some countries, where you have qualified men, but they'll tell you, oh, we need to fill this role by a woman. And I struggle. There was a situation where we needed a developer in one of the countries, and there was a guy that was super qualified. And I was interviewing for my colleague who was the hiring manager, and he said, "NKEBET, we need a woman." I said, "But this girl is not great." He said, "We need her." That is how much corporates are willing to take a chance on you. Because you're a woman. That is the power you have. But we don't know it. We don't take advantage of it. So, there's vacancy for truck driver. We need truck drivers. Now, I wanted to drive a truck, but somehow somebody told me why. And I would hear, why can't you be more like a girl? Just put yourself together. Be more like a girl. I used to love to roll tires. That was my favorite pastime, and climb the trees. I was the mango climber. I'll be shaking the tree, and people will come, and mangoes will come down, But I was now caged to say I needed to be a certain way. Who told you you couldn't drive your truck? What is your truck? What is that idea? What is that thing you wanted to be? If we take a sample around the room today, if I ask you, if I give you 2 minutes and I say, write that idea or that thing or that problem you see, I'm sure we will get 20 patents in this room. Or we'll get amazing ideas that will be funded. But you see, because somebody questioned our why, because somebody asked us, why do you want to drive this truck? Why do you want to do this? We sat down and we decided it was not for us, for some weird reason. And so today, I'm challenging everybody. You see, tech is for us. We cannot be Christians, as most of us are, and decide to take ourselves out of the equation. My Bible, I don't know if it's in yours, says that God wishes above all things that I prosper, right? And that's wealth. And be in health as my soul prospers. Now, if technology is the new oil, why are we not playing there? And every day we will say, I want to prosper, and God is saying, but I'm giving you now. That idea, do you think it's everybody that has it? Do you think the other women did not know that their dishwasher, their plates were cracking? They saw it. But this woman had the idea. Are we following? So life is waiting on you. Life is waiting on you. And a lot of us sometimes, we feel technology is complicated. And I'll give you an example of Uber. I'll tell you how technology works. Somebody was asking me when Uber started, a few years down, how does Uber operate? And I said, Uber was smart. They took maps. Maps was already there. They took payments, which was already there. I could put my card on a site. And then they took my email address and they put everything together. And it formed Uber. When you look at technology today, I can give you different dissections of technology. So you don't have to have it all put together. You don't have to create from scratch. You don't have to know it all. What God wants us to do is just put our leg in. When somebody questions your why, just say, yes, I can do it. As Bode says, the men will say, yeah, I can do it. Even though they have 5/10, we will be waiting for 9.98/10. It will never happen. If I was waiting to be a techie before I started to create, I probably wouldn't be here speaking with you. And the sad thing is that we have used that mentality unconsciously to affect the people after us, our girls, our children, our siblings, our cousins. Oh, I want to do something. I'm like, why? You two, you start asking why. Why? I'll tell you a story of my daughter. She's here today. She's my small PA. She likes to bake. And one day she met me. She was like, I like to bake, but I really also want to be an engineer. And I was like, I know. She said, but it doesn't correlate. I said, why don't you bake cakes that fly? And she said, what does that mean? I said, if I am someone who loves cars and it is my birthday, can you not make the outside a cake and put an engine? And when the cake is coming in, it is rolling. You're an engineer and you're a baker. Abi? So, in every aspect of our lives, we need to remember that we are creators. You know when you used to go to secondary school then, and your parents would say, remember the family you're coming from. Remember the child of who you are. Okay, my question to you today is, why have you forgotten the child of who you are? Your God is a creator. He's your father. Why are you not creating? When did you suddenly decide to step out of the family name and stop creating? Because somebody told you. So my question today is, who told you? Who told you you couldn't be the next thing? In business, as a woman in business, I don't know which business it is today that does not need technology. But before I even get into women in business, I want to talk about founders. You know, there are so many funds today for women. They are looking for women. In fact, they don't even, your idea doesn't need to be great. They just want to tick that box that we have female founder. We are funding female-led innovations. It's there. But if you don't put your leg in, if you do not question, if you don't have an answer to your why, you will never, ever get into this new oil, which is the wealth. Imagine that woman. I'm sure her children, grandchildren, she has a patent. So for everybody that does a wiper, I'm sure she's earning something. That is wealth creation. And that's the legacy we need to leave as is our DNA. And so, tech needs you more than you need tech. Will you participate or will you be a spectator? Will you participate? Is a question. Yes. Fantastic. So I want you to leave this place today. As a woman in business, look at your business. For instance, you can say, hey, but I sell clothes or I'm a designer. What has that got to do with tech? Okay. I hate it when people take my measurements. It's a problem. Can you not get an AI tool that allows me just turn around and take a picture and you size me? There are women, there's Japa happening now. Everybody's in diaspora, but they still have parties. And they want to buy their clothes. Who is going to design the Ankara for them? Would they fly down to take measurements? Can you not create something that when they stand, you are able to form their body shape and create something? Can we not do that? We are wealth builders. Now, you will say, I'm an interior decorator. Oh, well, this is not for me. Okay. Interior decorator, architecture, whatever it is, there's something called augmented reality. Must you come to my house? How about me take a picture of my house and then you fit in the furnitures with augmented reality and send it to me and we approve and we move, business done. There are many things. In our Greek, there's soilless farming. So all that one that you are checking, oh, loamy soil, clay soil, that was in the 1980s. That is so gone. Today, people are farming without soil. What are we doing? How are we participating in this business, in this sphere, in this ecosystem? And this is the question our children would ask us. This is the question our generation would ask us. What are we doing about it? So for me, I changed my trajectory and I got into my truck. I got into my truck and I started to build. I got into my truck and I didn't wait to have it all figured out. I got into my truck and I didn't wait to know the end, but I started. Because, you see, there's a law on the earth. And it's something my very good friend Foneko said. You know, there's a law. Imagine an acorn seed. You know, acorn seed is what makes the oak tree, right? Yes. Now imagine putting an acorn seed here. No matter how premium this seed is, it will not grow. Same thing with our ideas. No matter how premium your idea is in your head, nothing will happen. Now take this same acorn seed and put it in a soil. Guess what? Everything on this earth that is required to make that acorn become an oak tree will go to it. The acorn is not moving, the seed is not moving, but water will get to it. Air will get to it. Sunlight will get to it. Minerals will get to it because it is planted where it is meant to be. And it went into the ground and decided, you see me, I'm no longer an acorn, I want to be an oak tree. So today, my challenge to you is go to your homes, pick up your books, pick up your phone. If I don't pick book, take your phone, write your notes, think about that problem. And you can see I'm in corporate, it's not for me. In your office, you heard my story. I started by doing email because I didn't want to get shredded. What's that thing that you can fix? What's that problem you're seeing? The reason you're probably seeing that problem is because it's for you to solve. But if you do not solve it, it's on the earth, somebody will solve it. If you do not use technology, somebody will use it. You know what? Somebody met me one day and said, you know, this business that was just launched, I thought of it, oh. And you know, this person is not even doing it the way it's supposed to be. You know, it's supposed to be like this. And I say, oh, how nice. So when the person was doing it, where were you? Say, okay, do you know the person? Can we partner? I say it's too late because it's already been developed. The truth is, if you do not do what you're meant to do, if you don't take advantage of the seed and that thing as a creator, as a world builder, being the DNA that you are, if you do not take advantage of it, somebody will do it. And if we do not start to make, and those things are in our unconscious, it is our spirit, because we're spirit beings, as Pastor Kojo always says, we're spirit beings. So we're meant to create because our Father is a creator. And so for every time you do not create, you are diminishing your spirit, you're insulting your spirit. And your unconscious is constantly creating. So until you start to make the unconscious conscious, you will live your life calling it fate, or sometimes, as we say, God's will. You know, one day, it's weird, because I'm always building solutions, it's weird, but I always have my good ideas in the bathroom, right? So one day, that was when the list came out, and Bezos and Elon Musk were the richest guys, and I was like, I was having a conversation with God, and I was like, you know, this is not fair, right? How is it that it's these people that are the richest men, they are the wealthy people? We're Christians now, and what I heard was, well, Christians will not do what they need to do. When they try once and it doesn't work, they say, that's how God willed it. But you see these other people, they know that it's them and themselves. They know that, hey, I have to do it or I go home. And so they try the first time, it doesn't work. Second, third, fourth, every wealth builder in technology will tell you how many times they tried and it failed and they kept at it. So if you tried something and somebody told you it was not going to work, how about you go back and try again? How about you look at it and say, what can I do better? And so here is me driving my truck. But what I'd like us after this is for us to all pick up our trucks, get on our steering wheels, challenge ourselves, bring out that inner child who wanted to drive a truck. I wanted to drive a truck. I don't know what everybody else wanted to do. And I had to bring her out of the closet so that I could start creating. Bring that child out. She wants to create. He wants to create, because I know there are men watching here. That child wants to create. Get into your driver's seat. That place, and I specifically bought a truck because, you know, I've never, maybe there, but I really haven't seen any woman who has driven a tanker truck before. But I want to challenge us to get out of our comfort zone. Go to that place where you thought it wasn't you, That place that you thought was not for you, but you had it in your mind. Get into your driver's seat. Let us build well together and let's innovate. Thank you very much for listening to me.